Hi, my name is Fran. I've been making metal into sharp objects for, well, longer than I haven't. So, I want to give you some advice and tips and tricks on choosing your anvil. What to look for, what is out of your price range, or what would be kind of like a bad deal. So, stick around. I'll give you some tips and hopefully you learn something at the end of this video. Tip number one, having an anvil is better than having no anvil. If you have free access to a Harbor Freight anvil or Grandpappy's anvil, that is better than having no anvil. Some people want to spend a lot of money, thousands of dollars, on having their ideal dream setup, but you need to just get started. It's like drawing, right? If you want to draw with a pen and you don't have a pen, but you have a pencil, you can at least practice with that. And that is the very important part, just getting started. Tip number two will be getting the biggest anvil you possibly can, obviously in your financial spectrum and what is available to you. I'll give you an example. Birth over here is 200 pounds on a 150-pound log, right? That means that the mass that I am forging and projecting forces down onto is around 350 pounds. If you are just forging on a piece of concrete floor or a brick, and then you have a piece of railroad track on top that is insecure or unsecured to the actual surface, you're going to have a very difficult time effectively executing your work. The bigger the anvil, the better. Tip number three. It seems that Forge and Fire has given everybody a false notion that their anvil is actually worth a lot more than they would be worth in general. An anvil's price is usually, roughly, around $3 to $5 per pound. And once you start getting heavier, like past 200 pounds, it'll be much more expensive because they're more rare. I recommend you sitting and waiting and stock Facebook Marketplace. You will slowly see that there's anvils. You'll see this one. You'll see very similar 200-pound anvils in the $800, $900 range, $1,000. If you see one of my shorts, you can see that I critique a lot of them, and you see that there is the same exact brand and size of anvil in different conditions, of course, for widely different prices. I paid $400 or $500 for mine, so I got a pretty good deal on it. But most of the time that you see people on Facebook Marketplace, they're selling their granddaddy's anvil, and they're like, yeah, I want $1,000 for it. But in reality, if you are going to spend $1,000 on a really old anvil that has beat up edges, you might as well spend $1,000 on a brand new anvil, because those do exist online, and all your fixings, because it's going to be overall much better. The tip was essentially go on Facebook Marketplace and stock Facebook Marketplace and wait. Just patiently stock it until you see something that is within your price range, a good deal, and affordable. The next tip will be tip number four, the difference of steel types and which anvils to avoid. I might get a lot of hate for this one, but I will avoid certain anvil brands, especially the vintage ones, like the absolute plague. Number one anvil brand that I avoid completely, Vulcan. The Arm & Hammer Vulcan. Every time, quote me, you're going to see on Facebook Marketplace, you're going to start looking for them, you're going to see them for sale, etc. Every time that you see a Vulcan anvil for sale, you will see that there's chips on it, like cracks, like not only like chips, but they're like chunks missing out. That's because Vulcan was a very low end, medium average quality at best anvil, and they have not survived the trials of time, if you will. You always see them with chunks missing off them, and you always see them very valleyed, where you see that they have been very heavily abused. And because they are cast similar to the Harbor Freight ones, except I would choose a Vulcan over a Harbor Freight one, you will always see that they are damaged. The next brand is Fisher. Fisher anvils, if you see one of my shorts, you'll see that I point out two anvils on Facebook Marketplace that were like $1,000, where part right here, where the foot is, it's like broken off, just clear broken off. And a lot of them will have right here a section where you can mount a bolt so you can secure it to, like, let's say a stump. That little shoe or fitting, always broken. I've also seen anvils with like tails and noses completely just broken off of that brand. Sorry, I was grinding a little bit, but don't get it twisted, right? So This Big Bertha is made out of cast. However, there is a piece of hardened metal on the very top, which reduces the likelihood for it to just break completely off. So that one's pretty okay. And that's how they were just manufactured. It's going to be very difficult to find a extremely high quality for an affordable price anvil off the rip when you're just hunting Facebook Marketplace, because you are not the only one hunting for it. My next one would be, I really recommend getting an anvil that's like for horseshoeing. Horseshoeing anvils will have a very good size and will have attachment points. Like, for example, this one doesn't have it, and I'm not going to pull out my other anvil. It'll have two cams in this area where you can actually just stick a piece of metal and do one of these. So you don't have to like go ahead and struggle and start abusing your horn, because that would just start taking chunks. You'll see that there is a bunch of damage and marring right here, because that's what you do with anvils. You beat on them, and sometimes you happen to miss, and then you put a ding on it, which is unsightly, but at the end of the day, it's not super consequential. But horseshoeing anvils are a very good size. They're also very affordable, and they're plentiful. If you go on Marketplace or Craigslist, you'll see that there is always somebody selling some type of shoeing setup where you also have like your forge included. Anvils come in a million shapes and sizes. Right here, I'm going to put a picture of what I consider be the best anvil, right? You got to look at it. Is that thing ugly? It's because somebody was like, oh, it broke, and they just cut it off. I'm going to buy that thing. I'm going to find it. I always see it on Facebook Marketplace, jump around and hop around locations, and I always see it because it's like the only anvil with a missing chunk of it, right? But my ideal anvil shape would be just right here. Center. Whenever you're forging, you will notice that whenever you're using your tail or your horn, it is significantly harder to forge on it than right here where the center mass would be. So if honestly I could just get a block of metal, which I have done before, you can forge on that. But with that being said, you want to have an anvil in which you can put attachments to, right? This is a guillotine tool, so that means that I have a hardy hole. The hardy hole comes in a plethora of sizes, all the way from, I had a small anvil which had a 1/4 inch, and this one's all the way to 1 inch by a 1 inch, so it's pretty beefy. But an anvil without a hardy hole attachment is kind of not very useful. You could just have an anvil that is just a block of metal with a hardy hole, and you can use the hardy hole to put all sorts of different attachments. For example, I have this attachment right here where it just slides in, boop, and that gives me a very crisp edge, which allows me to do a lot of work that I would not want to be putting my actual anvil edge, because I can just take this. This was a $4 piece of metal and a piece of tubing. I can just abuse this and not the anvil. So make sure you get an anvil in which you can put attachments to, because then it'll be worthwhile, because you can also get different things like the guillotine tool, or let's say like a piece of pipe welded onto that, so you can have a much more rounded area. And if you see, there's a YouTuber that makes shears and tongs, you see that his anvil is literally just a block on the ground, and then he just has a hardy hole which he has all his little like attachments and tools to. So I think that a hardy hole is extremely necessary and very useful. Lastly, once you get your anvil, make sure that you mount it on a piece of block or piece of wood, right? How do you find... I'm in Southern California, so finding a block of wood was actually extremely difficult, because not a whole lot of people... This is what? About a foot and some change, about almost 2 feet worth of wood in its block. That means that it had to come from a very big tree, which is just not common around here. A lot of people who cut down trees that are like loggers or landscape professionals, you can be like, hey, I am looking for a log roughly this size. Whenever you are cutting down a tree, I'll take one off your hands, and they will thank you, because they actually have to get paid, or they actually have to pay to dispose of that wood. So you might even get it for free. I got mine for around $100 some odd, because I got it from a lumber yard where it had already made into a block. I didn't particularly want a log, like a round shape. I wanted a block, because if you see right here, I have taken pipe, like malleable pipe, and this is where I keep all my tongs. So this is very useful, and it would have been much more difficult to do it on a round surface because you just simply can't do that. And there's one on the other side too. That would be my last tip. If you have any more questions or suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. And what are you looking for in an anvil? Thank you for watching. Hope this taught you a little bit.